Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be covering what is infrastructure as a service, and then I will explain characteristics, suitability, pros and cons of IaaS, and also I will explain summary of IaaS providers. Guys, I have uploaded complete cloud computing subject tutorials. I will provide that link in description. You can watch from there. If you are watching this video for the first time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. At first, I will explain what is infrastructure as a service. IaaS changes how we use computing, storage and network resources. In the past, these resources were accessed physically in data centers. With IaaS, everything is virtual, meaning you can use them over the internet without needing physical access. Guys, in olden days, companies used to buy servers and place them in their companies in order to store files and data. And also, they used to create network setup in their company with hardware resources like routers and switches. Purchasing and maintaining everything is costly. But in cloud, with infrastructure as a service, companies are renting all these resources instead of purchasing them. IaaS uses a technology called virtualization to create virtual versions of computer, storage and networks from physical resources. Guys, I'll give one example. Guys, for example, if you consider Google Drive, by using my computer, I will store my files in Google Drive. Whatever files you see in Google Drive in your computer, this is virtual. But actually your files are stored in Google company server. This is physical. So IaaS creates virtual versions of computer, storage and network from physical resources. That's for example, I will open AWS website and I will select a Windows virtual system. By selecting two servers and by selecting some configuration of network and some storage, I will take Windows virtual machine for rent. So virtual resources are grouped into virtual machines. Guys, just in online, I will open AWS website and then I will install Windows virtual machine and I will use. And this virtual machine works same like real computer. Just by selecting configuration, we need to create virtual machine. Rest everything is handled by service provider. These virtual resources are grouped into virtual machines, which are like online versions of real computers. The service provider set up these virtual machines and user can use them as needed. In cloud, instead of purchasing servers, IT architects will rent those servers online and then they will set up the servers. Like they will set up network and load balancers. IT architects are the main users. They can design and manage virtual infrastructures such as network and load balancers without worrying about physical servers. The service provider manages the physical infrastructure, making it simpler for IT architects. These are the services offered by IaaS. And the first one is compute. That is nothing but in cloud we can rent virtual computers. IaaS provides virtual CPUs. They are like brain of the computer. And also they will provide some memory in order to run those virtual machines. And second one is they will provide storage. Guys, whatever computer we rent in cloud, for that computer we can select storage. Based on storage, we can store data and files in that computer. And there is also separate storage service. We call it as storage as a service. And third one is network. We can also establish network to our virtual machine in order to use internet. Cloud provides some tools like routers and switches in order to create network. We can select the routers and networks based on our requirement and then we can create network. And the service is also provided separately. We call it as network as a service. And fourth one is load balancers. Guys, for example, if you are running some softwares like Facebook in cloud, sometimes millions of people use app like Facebook at a time, which will give load to that software and the software performance decreases. So in order to overcome this problem, in cloud you can use load balancers. Load balancers spread workload across different virtual machines to keep everything running smoothly. In simple terms, IaaS lets you rent virtual computers and network online. The service provider handles the physical hardware, so you only need to focus on using virtual resources. Guys, whenever you rent any virtual resources online, you need not to worry about physical hardware. Physical hardware is present in company's location, so you need not to worry about it. It is handled by AWS service provider. Just you need to take care of virtual resources. Guys, this is structure of IaaS. Guys, IaaS providers will provide you physical infrastructure like compute, network and storage for rent. And there is virtualization layer where we can create virtual infrastructure from physical infrastructure. So from physical machines, Users will create virtual machines, like they will create servers, network and storage. Guys, single user will not use cloud. So many people will use cloud at a time. So each user will create one virtual machine. And there is load balancing layer in order to handle load. And in cloud, IaaS service is mainly used by infrastructure architect. Guys, these are services provided by IaaS providers. They are compute, storage, network and load balance. I will explain characteristics of IaaS. IaaS providers offer virtual computing resources and you only pay for what you use. Guys, in cloud, how much time you use particular resource, only for that you need to pay money. Same like paying electricity bill for what we use. These are various features. And the first one is on-demand self-service. Guys, in cloud, what you want, you can get that anytime. And second one is broad network access. From anywhere, by using any device, we can access our resources. Just we need internet, that's it. And third one is resource pooling. Guys, not only single user will use cloud, multiple users will use cloud at a time. So, resources are shared among many users. And fourth one is rapid elasticity. Guys, in cloud, we can easily increase or decrease resources as needed. For example, at first I took 1 TB of storage in cloud and my memory is full. So simply I can increase memory. For example, I don't need 1 TB of memory. So simply I can decrease memory. And fifth one is measured services. Guys, in cloud, how much time we use particular resource, only for that we need to pay money. For example, I will use server for 1 hour. So only for that 1 hour I need to pay money. Okay, there are some other special characteristics. And the first one is web access to resources. As for example, whenever you rent any server in cloud, there is no need of bringing the server physically to your house in order to use. Just by using internet in online, we'll use the server. So you can access servers and other infrastructure through the internet using a web browser. No need to physically access the server. Second one is centralized management. Even though servers and resources are in different locations, they are managed from a single place using a management console. This makes resource management efficient. As in cloud, resources like servers are stored in different locations. Even though servers are stored in different locations, cloud service provider will manage those servers by using software called management console. And third one is elasticity and dynamic scaling. Guys, in cloud, we can increase or decrease resources whenever we need. This ensures we always have right amount of resources. And fourth one is shared infrastructure. Guys, in cloud, single server is used by many users by creating virtual machines. IaaS uses a shared model where multiple users share the same physical hardware but they have their own virtual machines. This improves resource usage. Multiple users will use same hardware by creating virtual machines. Fifth one is pre-configured virtual machines. Guys, in cloud, whenever we create virtual machine, just we need to select virtual machine, operating system and how much network you want. Simply after selecting this, you need to click on create button. Just it will create virtual machine. There is no need of doing any other configurations. Everything is handled by service provider. IaaS providers offer ready-to-use virtual machines with operating system and network settings. You can start using them immediately or configure your own as needed. And sixth one is metered services. Guys, in companies, instead of purchasing server, we can rent servers online, which will decrease our cost. And how much time we use that server, only for that we need to pay money. So instead of buying physical servers, you can rent resources. You are charged based on amount you use, making it cost efficient. Next I will explain suitability of IaaS. That is nothing but when IaaS is useful. First one is reduces cost for startups. That's if you are establishing startup company. So instead of buying servers, you can rent servers online. So which will save our money. IaaS helps startup companies save money because they don't need to buy expensive hardware. Instead, they can rent it when needed, which lower their total cost and increase their profits. So if you are establishing startup company, then in cloud, you can use IaaS service. And second one is handles sudden usage spikes. Guys, in some situations, if your company is using high resources, and in some other situations, if your company is using low resources, in that situations, you can use cloud because In cloud, we can increase or decrease resources whenever we need. IaaS is great when a company demands for computing resources suddenly increase or decrease. Traditional setups cannot quickly add or remove hardware to match changes, but IaaS can do this easily. And third one is low initial investment. Guys, if you are creating new company, then you cannot invest a lot of money in order to buy infrastructure and hardware. So in the situations, just by spending small amount of money, we can rent infrastructure in cloud by selecting infrastructure as a service. And fourth one is temporary needs. Guys, some companies need servers and hardware only for small amount of time. So in the situations, simply instead of purchasing them, they can rent servers online in cloud just for few months, which will save their money. Guys, these are situations where IaaS is not suitable for companies. And the first one is strict rules. Guys, some companies has very strict rules, like the data must be stored securely and the data is very sensitive data. In that situations, cloud is not suitable for them. So some companies have regulations that don't allow them to store data on third-party servers. They can't use IaaS because it is hosted on-site. That is nothing but in these situations, company will store data in their company itself. They will not store data in cloud. And second one is low usage. For example, your company want only small computer just for basic work. In that situation, cloud is not suitable for you. With less cost, you can purchase small configuration computers and you can use. If a company doesn't need much computing power and the current hardware is enough, IaaS might not be necessary. And third one is high performance needs. Guys, cloud completely depends on internet to work. So sometimes in cloud, IaaS may not perform well because of internet issues. So if companies want very fast performance in cloud, then there will be problem because of internet issues. And fourth one is need for physical control. Guys, in cloud, we will use resources like servers virtually. We cannot control servers physically because servers are present in company's location and the servers are handled by service providers. So if your company want to handle servers physically in their location, then cloud is not best option for them. Next I will explain pros and cons of IaaS. At first I will explain pros of IaaS. Pros are nothing but benefits. First one is pay as you use model. IaaS charges you based on how much you use. You only pay for what you use, like renting. So you don't have to spend a lot of money on buying expensive hardware. Guys, in cloud, instead of purchasing resources, you can rent resources like server, storage, network, etc. And how much time we use? Only for that we need to pay money. And second one is lower total cost of ownership. Shortly we call it as TCO. Guys, in cloud, we need not to buy physical resources. We will just rent resources online. Cloud provider will provide us resources, which will save our money. So you don't need to buy physical hardware because you rent it from the IaaS providers. This reduces the overall cost of owning IT resources. Third one is elastic resources. Guys, in cloud, we can increase or decrease resources based on our need. For example, if I need more resources, simply I can increase it. If I need less resources, simply I can decrease it. So IaaS can adjust the amount of resources based on your needs. If you need more resources, you can scale up, and if you need less, you can scale down. This happens automatically, improving efficiency. And fourth one is better resource utilization. Guys, in cloud, based on your requirement, you can add resources or you can decrease resources. And cost of cloud is very less. So if you invest a small amount, you will get good returns. And fifth one is support green IT. Guys, if you purchase servers and maintain the servers in your company, it will consume lot of power. Whereas if you consider cloud like AWS, instead of companies purchasing servers, they will take servers for rent in cloud. And single server is used by many people. So cloud is eco-friendly. Next I will explain cons of IaaS. That is nothing but drawbacks of IaaS. First one is security issues. Guys, in cloud, we'll use resources virtually. And cloud completely depends on hypervisors. So in cloud, we'll use virtualization technology, which depends on hypervisors. Guys, hypervisors are softwares that will manage resources like CPU, hardware, servers, etc. So if any hacker hack hypervisor, our complete data can be accessed by hacker, which will damage security. So if you are handling any sensitive data, then choosing cloud is not good option for you. And second one is interoperability issues. Yes, for example, let us say I stored my complete data in AWS cloud. Now I want to move that complete data to Google cloud, but it is very tough. AWS provider will not accept that. So different IaaS providers use different standards, making it hard to move virtual machine from one provider to another provider. So you need to log with only one provider. And third one is performance issues. Guys, cloud completely depends on internet to work. So in your area, if internet is not good, then we cannot utilize cloud services efficiently. IaaS resources come from multiple servers connected over a network. The speed of network affects the performance. If network is slow, then virtual machines will not perform well. Next I will explain summary of IaaS providers. Guys, there are many companies, both public and private, will provide infrastructure as a service. IaaS providers will give resources like virtual machine storage network to users. Guys, this table shows IaaS providers and the details like license, deployment model, host operating system, guest operating system, and support hypervisors. First IaaS provider is Amazon Web Services. So license is not open source. License is proprietary and deployment model is public. That is nothing but everyone can use these services. And whereas host OS is nothing but operating system which is used by AWS company service provider. There is no specific operating system. So operating system is not available. And guest OS is nothing but operating system which is used by IaaS users. Based on our requirement, either we can use Linux or Windows or any other operating system. It is our choice. And next one is support hypervisors. Guys, hypervisor is nothing but it is a software. By using that software, AWS will create and run virtual machines. AWS will use Zen hypervisor. Second IaaS provider is Google Compute Engine. License is proprietary, deployment model is public, host OS is not available, and guest OS is Linux or Windows or any other operating system. And support hypervisor is KVM. And third IaaS provider is Microsoft Azure. License is proprietary, deployment model is public, host OS is not available, and guest OS is either Linux or Windows or any other. And hypervisor is Azure hypervisor. Fourth one is Eucalyptus. Operating system is open source. And deployment model is private or hybrid. That is nothing but services are not available to everyone. Only specific companies will contact to Eucalyptus. This Eucalyptus will provide services only to few companies. We cannot use Eucalyptus directly like AWS and Google Cloud. And host OS is Linux. Eucalyptus service provider will use Linux operating system. And guest OS can be either Linux or Windows. And it will support hypervisors like Zen, KVM and VMware. And second one is Apache Cloud Stack. License is open source and deployment model is private. Guys, private is nothing but cloud setup is done in company itself. We cannot use the service over the internet. Host OS is Linux and guest OS is Windows, Linux or BSD. And support hypervisors are KVM, vSphere, Zen Server, XCP. And next IaaS provider is OpenEbula. License is Apache 2, which is open source. And deployment model can be either public or private or hybrid. Everyone can use this service by using internet, or companies can also create private cloud setup in their company, or they can use both at a time. Host OS is Linux, guest OS is Windows or Linux, and they will support hypervisors like Zen, KVM and VMware. And last one is OpenStack. License is Apache 2, which is open source, and deployment model can be either public or private. Host OS is Linux, and guest OS can be either Windows or Linux or BSD. And support hypervisors are libvirt, Hyper-V, VMware and others. Guys, host OS is nothing but operating system which is installed by service provider in each system. You need not to worry about it. And whereas guest OS is nothing but operating system which is installed in our virtual machine. Commonly we will install Windows or Linux. If it is public cloud, only we need to handle guest OS. But whereas if you are using private cloud, both guest OS and host OS both must be installed by us and we need to handle that.